Do you think this thing could contain a Bigfoot? This is the cage designed to hold a Sasquatch in tonight's movie, The Bigfoot Trap. And like the big bad wolf in the Three Little Pigs story, I bet Bigfoot could blow this thing over. But maybe instead of trapping a Bigfoot, it traps something else. It opens up with three guys building a trap: Red Wilson, Kyle Baker, and Hector. Don't worry about his last name, because just moments after finishing the trap, he's killed by the beast. I gotta admit, a pretty effective opening. Now we meet Josh McMahon, who's the host of a show by Point Zero Media. Really, all he does is run around interviewing people who lead interesting lives. Mostly conspiracy theorists, like this lady, who's a flat earther.
Every government and every news organization around the globe.
Did you get that? Around the globe.
Instead of taking the interview seriously, Josh pretty much just makes fun of her. And as it turns out, that's what people want to watch. Because this video goes viral with 4 million views.
4 million views in one weekend?
Josh's boss, Tiggs, wants him to make more like this, and he's lined up the perfect interview. Red's looking for a journalist to come out and cover his story. As we know, he's built a Bigfoot trap, and he wants Josh to film the beast as it gets captured. Of course, Tiggs and Josh don't believe him, but seeing an opportunity to make fun of more people, he takes the job.
I don't know what to say.
Before he heads out, though, he talks to his girlfriend, Stephanie. She knows that this isn't the type of work Josh wants to be doing. This bullying people just to get a click. But, I mean, that's what's paying the bills. Finally, Red and Josh meet up. At first, Red is pretty likable. I mean, he's a pretty rough and tough-looking dude, but honestly, for now, he's a nice guy who just wants to prove to the world that Bigfoot exists. Inside their cabin, Josh meets Kyle, and we learn how these guys make money. By going to Bigfoot conventions and selling t-shirts. But really, there's no way that's enough income for anyone. That's why Kyle deals drugs on the side. Which, let's be honest, that's really how they make money. Anyway, after meeting everyone, Red and Josh head out into the woods for a 2-night camping trip, in which Red is positive that they'll capture the creature. Josh asks him how he got into this profession, and Red goes on to say that it was his grandpa that got him into it. They would go Sasquatch hunting, which was really just an excuse for him to go out camping. But for Red, it's nothing but good memories. Red takes Josh to the trap and shows him how it works. Basically, you put bait in there, Bigfoot triggers a tripwire, and whammo, the door falls down, and you have a captured Bigfoot. Red knows it'll work too, because he has video evidence of a creature going inside and eating bait, before he installed the tripwire. At night, they do a little of your standard Bigfoot hunting, but all Josh can do is crack jokes,
hillbilly mating call.
really forcing it and trying to make Red look stupid, but not being a good journalist at all. Or, I don't know, maybe that's what real journalists do. Well, it's not working out for Josh, and Red can see what he's doing. So he makes Josh crack some rocks together, and they do get a response.
Right?
Freaked out, they run and find a track. But still, Josh thinks someone planted it. The next morning, the guys split up. Josh goes to clean out the trap. Red says he's going to hunt some breakfast. But really, he just goes to meet with Kyle. He says hold off for now, and that he'll tell him when the time is right. So, something's definitely sus. Kyle does give Red some steaks, so he doesn't come back empty-handed. And when Josh returns to camp, he finds Red beating his meat. I'm sorry. Yes, I only told you this part so that I could make that joke. It doesn't really have anything to do with the story. I just thought it was too funny to leave out. Thank you for appeasing me. Moving on. That night, the final night, Josh records himself in his tent, talking about how he feels bad that he doesn't even know the flat earther's name that got him so famous. But then he hears a howl, and something big is coming towards the camp. Josh pokes his camera outside and records Bigfoot eating the meat Red put up in the tree. Hey, I guess it was important to the story after all. Well, Red fires a warning shot to scare it away. But even still, Josh can't admit that Sasquatch is real. He's heard howls, seen footsteps, and now recorded the creature. But he says maybe it was a bear. Really?
I guarantee you that wasn't no bear.
Seeing that Josh isn't gonna believe unless Bigfoot walks up and shakes his hand, Red resorts to his final option, a hoax. He asks Kyle to dress up in a suit and walk around in the woods. This little trick does work, and right there in broad daylight, Josh can't deny it. He thinks he's looking at the real-life Bigfoot. And he's petrified. Look at him shaking, holding the camera. Kyle charges at the guys, and scared, Josh grabs the gun and fires, shooting Kyle. Hey, that's what you get for trying to stage a hoax. Seeing his best friend in the whole wide world dying sends Red into a rage. He knocks out Josh and throws him into the Bigfoot trap, then runs back to his friend. Red tries to get Kyle to the hospital, but it's too late, and he dies right then and there. Red goes back to the camp, grabs the gun, and gets ready to shoot Josh. An eye for an eye. But that's not really fair. I mean, it was an accident. I'm sure Josh feels pretty bad about it too.
Please don't shoot.
In the end, he doesn't shoot him, but with Josh locked away, it does give Red some time to think this all through. He knows that he can't just let him out. Josh would tell the world what a psycho he is, and then he'd be just like the Flat Earth lady. So they reach an agreement. Josh will edit the footage, make it look like a real Bigfoot, then leave out the part with him shooting Kyle. I mean, he doesn't want to show that to the world either, and no one will be the wiser. As for Kyle's body, well, conveniently enough, he doesn't have any friends or family. He was a junkie, and only other junkies will miss him. So, Red just buries him. He says his goodbyes and heads back to the Bigfoot trap, where he catches Josh making a phone call. I kind of feel like that one's on you, buddy. You should have taken Josh's cell phone when you had the gun pointed at his nose. Anyway, service is spotty out here, but Josh did manage to call 911. Red gets his phone and smashes it, so that won't happen again, but now the cops are coming his way. Being so far out, he does radio for backup, but that doesn't seem to go through, so this cop's on his own. Meanwhile, back at the trap, Red takes some drugs to clear his mind, which is never a good idea.
I gotta go think straight. I'll be back.
He goes for a walk and ends up finding the cop. Red runs out, trying to play it off like he's Josh and he was the one in trouble that called 911. But it doesn't work. The cop sees through his lies because only a few months ago, they were out here looking for Hector, who was the guy killed in the beginning.
I know who you are.
Knowing something's up, he handcuffs Red and makes him take him to the Bigfoot trap. The cop gets the keys to unlock it, but before he does, for some reason, he decides that now's the right time to call for backup. So he climbs up on top of the trap to get service, but guess what? He didn't take Red's gun. So he hobbles over and shoots the officer.
Officer, look out!
Red knocks him out, but actually, he kills him. Josh manages to get a hold of the gate keys, he unlocks it, and makes a run for it. It's a game of cat and mouse for a little bit. They fight back and forth, but eventually Josh ends up right back where he started, in the trap. In an attempt to save all this, they dig up Kyle, sit him down next to the cop, and get their story straight, saying basically that there was a shootout between drug dealer and cop, and they both died. Then Red sits down and finally tells Josh why he wanted to capture Bigfoot so bad. It turns out that his grandfather made him a tie-dyed Bigfoot shirt the day he died, and it was his most prized possession. When his dad saw him wearing it, he made him take it off and throw it away, thinking the whole hunt for Bigfoot thing was stupid. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, your grandpa's dead." Red took it pretty hard, but he dug the shirt out of the trash and wore it to school the next day, where the bullies came out full force, making fun of him for believing in the creature. The only person who stood up to him was Kyle, and they've been friends ever since. Well, until now, because, he's dead. He swore he would find Bigfoot and prove everyone else wrong. But here we are, a Bigfoot trap with no Bigfoot. Kyle's gone, Red's career is over. He has no other choice but to shoot Josh and run away. Oh, wait. Well, that was a surprise. Now what's Josh gonna do? He's locked in a cage in the middle of the woods, and try as he might, he can't get out. Well, help comes that night, in the form of a hulking monster. That's right. Remember, Bigfoot frequents this place for an easy meal, and she's back tonight. Josh hits a rock on the wall and gets her attention. She easily, and I mean very easily, rips the door off its hinges. See, this trap couldn't contain a Bigfoot, and while she's snooping around, Josh makes his escape. But he might have just gone out of the frying pan and into the fire, because she chases right after him. After they run around for a bit and have some close calls, Josh manages to get away and go home, where he scrounges enough footage to make a new video. He shows it to his boss, but it doesn't have a hook, or the clickability the Flat Earther video had.
I didn't laugh once.
Even so, they post it, and it gets a measly 50,000 views in the first weekend.
What now?
His boss gives him one more chance, but he's gonna have to do a Flat Earther part 2.
Ready for part 2?
I don't really have another choice.
When he gets there,
A lot of
though,
this stuff.
he just can't do it. He's done making fun of people for views, so he quits. Furthermore, he wants to move on to hunting Bigfoot now, even going as far as dumping his girlfriend to find the beast in Red's honor. You know, the same guy who tried to kill him. I guess he has a serious case of Stockholm Syndrome. And that was the Bigfoot Trap. For a low-budget movie, it's not half bad. I will admit that this is not so much a Bigfoot film, and instead chooses to focus more on the human characters. So if you want to see a ton of unique kills, you're not going to get that here. Honestly, the only Bigfoot death is Hector in the very beginning. I think I'd actually like to see a sequel to this where Josh does manage to capture the beast, but once it's behind bars, it just taps on the cage and it falls apart. I thought the Bigfoot costume looked pretty good, even though you only see it at night. What you do see of it looks like it would be what I expect a Sasquatch to look like. Albeit it's a bit on the shorter side, so I guess that's okay. The acting had its weak spots, but overall the main characters did a good job. But I don't know why Red, a Bigfoot expert mind you, thought that this trap would hold a creature. I'm pretty sure if it was life or death, I could break a few of those boards to escape. But overall, you get it. Don't nitpick the story. Expect more human conflict than Bigfoot, and you'll have a good time. I hope we get more movies like this where they focus on an interesting story and put a little bit of the budget into the suit. I'm not asking for a multi-million-dollar Bigfoot movie here. Something like this is just fine. I give the Bigfoot Trap 3 Reds beating their meat out of 4.
That was Bigfoot.
Sure was. They used knocks to communicate their location to each other.
You sure it wasn't a squirrel telling a knock-knock joke?